Now let's get some perspective of all this, and joining me now is a retired military officer and a security consultant, Colonel Hassan Stanlabo. Thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10 tonight.
Thank you.
In your assessment of the anti-terror war, given what we've been told about, Boko Haram being decimated and all that, territories being taken back, do we need this sort of money at this time?
Thank you, Jama. First of all, I want to commend all those who are behind the approval of this money for the, very altruistic gesture they have done us. I must tell you the fact. Prosecuting a war comes with a great deal of financial challenges and even resources besides financial challenges. This money that is being released will be going a long way in bringing a lot of a lot of assistance to the average soldier there in the forward lines. There are issues with, as we speak, there are issues with welfare conditions of troops, there are issues with logistics, there are issues with operational issues, and so on. Look at the issue of platforms, for instance. The Air Force told us a few days back they are spending about 400 million naira monthly just for petroleum, oil, and lubricants for the attack aircrafts. That is just one component of expenses. They are not talking about feeding of their men and so on. Then when you look at the land forces, that is the army, look at its own platforms, the tanks and so on. Look at the welfare issues with the troops, backlog of allowances where there are, they need to be paid, troops rotation. Each troop rotation comes with induction and deduction exercises. Okay, and what of the troops in the hospital with all sorts of deformities, and injuries that need to be attended to?
We hear that argument, but when you also talk about the purchase of intelligence and everything that you have said now, yes, was there no provision for that before? And the question is, what has happened to the provision for that, such that we need this amount of money to, are we now supplementing, or is this fresh provision? Those are the questions, the difficult questions that we just have to ask.
They are not difficult if only we have an open mind and listen to informed minds like us who are trying to pass on information. Okay. I don't want to say people are speaking out of ignorance.
So then you shouldn't say that, yes, if you don't want to say that.
Yes, because it might be taken to be derogatory.
There is nothing ignorant about asking where money is going.
Sure,
that's one of the biggest problems that we have.
Ijoma, let's spend some more time explaining than arguing.
Okay, so I'm listening to you.
Good.
What sort of provision is this?
No money is ever enough when you prosecute a war like this. I don't want to look, ask the Americans what they have spent in Afghanistan. No money is never ever enough. Why? Because you might plan to spend 5 kobo and you get into the battle space or into the battleground and you see yourself requiring about 8 kobo. The dynamics of executing a war is such that it makes a lot of things very unpredictable. Because the greatest mistake you make is to think the enemy is a daft. He's not a daft. In most cases, he's as trained as you are, if not better trained. So he's got his own tactics, he's got his own techniques and procedures to bring to bear on the battleground or in the battle space.
All right. Yes, I know you've talked about that and what you need in the theater of war. But let me bring your attention to something that the UN had said about the sort of money they think we should be spending and how we should spend it. They had talked about the need for $1.1 billion to be spent on the humanitarian aspects of this war, IDPs and etc. So do we prioritize the fallout of the war, that's the IDPs, or having more intelligence and more hardware? Finally now, what do you think should be the priority?
Thank you. One is a product of the other. The IDP issue is a product of the insecurity question on ground. So why not attack the root of the entire problem by addressing the situation, the insecurity situation on ground, so that you can reduce the amount of IDPs you have. If you want to be addressing the IDPs, keep addressing them and more will be coming, because this insecurity situation will keep pumping out IDPs for you. We just have to be very objective in our thinking. I think all what is happening now, I must tell you, Joma, before I leave, is that we are beginning to politicize the entire issue. If you listen to the wordings of the PDP gentlemen who spoke, they were referring to APC doing this and that. Look, it is unfortunate, but I expect that as a nation, we know that this is a problem which the PDP couldn't fix in the last dispensation. We now have a government that is addressing it squarely, having the right leadership in the right places. We should give them every support they need, so that this issue can be done with. Look at the de-radicalization program that is ongoing. Address the rehabilitation component of that program alone, and see how much it gulps.
All right, it's at that point that I'm going to have to leave it. I know we do have a lot more to say on this issue, which we shall get to at some other time in some other forum. But I'm going to thank you, Colonel Hassan Stanlabo, for joining us on the news.
Thank you, Joma.
Thank you so very much.